Yeah.
Good to chat with you. Now I've listened to the recording with Kelly, so I have a sense of what's going on with you guys. But I'm just interested in hearing where you're at today because that was last week. So, what
Yeah.
steps have you taken, or where are you at right now?
So, yeah, I guess like when I scheduled this call, it was like when I was like trying to make my business work,
Yep.
and I've decided to it's up for sale now.
Okay.
And it will be up for sale until January 31st. Um, at this point, like, we don't think that like we're gonna get much out of it. We're hoping someone will take over the lease and maybe like pay for a few assets, but we basically have until like January 31st to find someone. I do have someone interested, so, and I'm working with a broker. I'm working with my accountant, so I am getting like quite a bit of support from people in that respect. But
And the
yeah,
January 31st date, what is that something you set, or what's the reason behind the date?
um, it gives us a good like 6 to 8 weeks to find someone, and then after that, it's like it's time to just close. Um,
Liquidate.
yeah, but I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to find someone to take over the lease at least. Yeah.
Good. So you've got an outcome that you're specifically looking for in the sale. You want somebody to take over the lease,
Yeah,
some assets.
ideally. Yeah.
Yep. And what about employees?
Yeah, so it would just depend on who, like the person that I'm talking to right now that's interested. I know that she wouldn't keep any of the employees because she's like a kinesiologist and she only hires UBC graduates, and like she's a very specific niche market, so it would depend on what company took over, I guess.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of like up in the air until
And
we
so
know.
then afterwards, you've got to go through the process with your accountants and bankers and everybody about, or I guess I think you said your dad was holding the paper, was financing the enterprise.
Yeah, it's all under like me though, so it'll be all me that is like
Yeah.
closing and doing all of that. Yeah. Yeah, he
Right.
was just like basically like giving me loans.
Yeah.
But it's all set up like in my name and everything.
Right. So you have to liquidate and deal with whatever you have to deal with. And
Yeah.
I get that. And it's the thing is, how are you feeling about that right now? Where do you sit with this whole thing?
Yeah, it's kind of been like a lot of different emotions. Like I made the final decision on Wednesday last week. Actually, like it was pretty
Mm-hmm.
much like when the group call was going, I was going to talk to my dad to tell him that I was closing. Um, and at that point, I was like feeling just like angry because like I had just gotten like our numbers again, and yeah, I was just like frustrated and angry, and I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore, and so I'm gonna act before I change my mind again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then since then, like, you know, I was, I've just been sad. I feel like I'm like grieving a little bit, I guess. Just, it's hard to be there, and, I get thoughts popping up in my head every once in a while, like, how could I make this work? Or like, could I
Mm-hmm.
sublease? But like, I know that it's time for me to let it go. And I did tell two of my um, kind of like my head employees for different reasons, and like they're ready to let it go too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like everyone, or like, I don't know. I'm almost like today. It's like when other people are like feeling that way as well, like, yeah, like I think we've been at such a loss for a long time that it's kind of getting to the point where it's like it's not fun anymore. It's like
Hmm.
it's just become like a stress. And
Yeah.
yeah.
When you were when the thought was going through your head about subleasing, what is it you thought you might do that would be different?
Well, I was like, could I yeah, like get another company in the space and then we can like use part of the space. And then I realized that I was just doing that to try and hold on, not really because I wanted to continue doing this
Uh,
business, because I don't.
okay. So
Yeah.
you're clear about that as far as you're not going to start this up in some other way. That's not your plan.
Um, I'm trying not to think ahead like too far right now. I'm just what I think I want to do is to run my programs online and out of other existing businesses. Because what I do is like nutrition and life coaching and health consulting. So I don't need this big space with a big overhead that's
Hmm.
like set up like a fitness studio to do that. Like, so I think that's going to be
So,
my plan, but I'm not going to decide that yet until like this is all done and I'm able to like have some space and really like figure out like is this really what I want to do, because this is all I've ever done. And
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, that makes sense. You don't want to jump into something right now. The biggest thing, and I think probably the way that Kelly's looking at it, the way I look at it is, what is it saying about you right now, and what do you think it means for you to have this occur, to have this going on? Does it say anything about you?
Um yeah, I think up until I made the decision, like I was really trying to prove that I could make it work. Um and then like yeah, like I just kept hearing more and more things about like other people switching businesses or like letting things go or like getting out of their marriage or like, and I just started to like let go of the idea of like I have to do this. Um
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, like having that conversation with Kelly about my dad and like trying to prove that I can do it. And yeah, it's just like not worth it anymore to hold on to that. It's like it's actually costing me being successful in something else, because I'm holding on to something that's not working and it's not really where my heart is anymore either.
Yeah,
So
it's a good thing. That's a good thing to notice. And the thing about a failure like this, because it's just a failure to perform, right? It doesn't have anything to do with who you are. It's just the business didn't work. And when you get that in your bones that it's a failure to perform, this model didn't work, clean it up, and then you can look at something else. It doesn't mean anything about you. And a lot of times people take that to heart and go, oh no, that's I failed, I made this I did this wrong, whatever. And sure, you might have made mistakes along the way, but the fact is you tried something, it didn't work, clean it up, see what you want to do next. And I'm not telling you this from just some theoretical thing, because I've run a lot of businesses in my life, and the largest was $500 million. We grew it from 140 million to $500 million. But in 2015, I'd started an engineering firm and ran it for 10 years, and I had 100 employees. We started from zero. And in 2015, oil went to $29. And like overnight, there was no business. And it was a decision: do we pile hundreds of thousands of dollars in, and spend money every month to keep employees and keep the business running? Or do we just say, this is not going to work? And that's what I did. I said, guys, it's not going to work. I was the CEO, the chairman of the company, and I'd funded it. It was my money that was in there. And I said, no, it's not going to come back in a hurry. it's going to cost a whole bunch of money. We're just going to throw good money after bad. And so we made the decision. I made the decision. And that within 2 weeks, we were going to close the doors. And then I convinced the bank to give me a year to wrap it up, to wind it up. But where I came from was, all right, that didn't work. And, now I want to try to have as successful an exit as I can. In my case, I had some assets to sell. We had projects to sell. So I did. And I found everybody jobs. That was part of my thing because I knew that it was going to be a tough time for people. So I wanted to try to make something work in that realm. And it did. But I spent a year wrapping it up before I went on and did some other things. So it happens. It just happens. And you know what? Every successful entrepreneur has had a failure, because if you only have successes, you actually don't learn anything, because you think you're doing really well. And, there might be money there, but all of a sudden something shifts and people discover all of a sudden that maybe things weren't going so well. So having some kind of a misstep along the way is a real learning experience, a real opportunity. And if you can look at it like that and now learn everything you have to learn about, when you have to get out of a lease, it makes you think differently about how you get into a lease in the future. All these different things, as you go through them, there's always something to learn from it. As long as you personally don't take it as a personal failure, but rather as a failure in the business, which might have been your idea, might have been your plan, that's great. It was still just a failure of the business. And the sooner you can move on, the better off you're going to be as far as getting on to the next thing. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do have that distinction from ILP.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I just there's obviously things to learn from, of course. Yeah, I did work with a consulting company for the past year that I spent a lot of money on, and so yeah, I'm disappointed in that, but I don't think I'm gonna really go there. I think I'm just gonna because yeah, part of me is kind of did we do everything, or I don't know. I'm probably just looking for reasons to blame, or not to blame, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's a good point though. It's not necessarily, that's not a bad thing, because understanding what didn't work, which could have been in the initial conceptual design of the thing, it could have been in an execution thing. I don't know what it was. And you can look at that. But it is important to take a look at it and say, all right, what's the way to make it work? When I looked at mine, I realized that having people on an hourly basis in an industry where there's no long-term, no recurring revenue stream, there's nothing, just it's a bad model. I mean, companies make money at it and companies lose money at it every day. And so I just looked at it and said, yeah, no, that's not a model that's going to work. Just like you're saying, you're not going to go out and look for another space to rebuild everything you just did, because you learned from that, right? And now it's what is going to work. And the only way to really start looking at what will work is to know what went wrong, what didn't work, what was missing in what you did before to be successful. That's a good exercise. What are you seeing? What are you finding about that?
Well, we doubled our sales and then found out now that we doubled our expenses as well. So not knowing that until a year after is obviously a mistake. We kind of just loosely hired people to create a team, because it was just me before, basically. And yeah, we couldn't afford necessarily the person that we brought on, and I had a business partner come and go, and there was a big learning in that. I do believe that if we would have worked well together, then it could have worked. it really started like declining when started declining even more like once he left. And yeah, I think
So you
that,
weren't. So that what you're pointing to is what you did was you hired people, you did things, you increased sales, but you were spending at the same time. So you weren't getting. It doesn't sound like anyway. You were getting monthly statements so that you knew exactly where you're at, profit, loss, that sort of thing.
well, no, we did. I guess just like as a whole, I didn't realize that we were going to lose as much money as we did, like from year one to year two, because our sales had doubled. And so, yeah, I guess I didn't know my numbers well enough the first year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I knew them really well this year, but I just assumed that we would lose less money if our sales had doubled, which wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a learning, and yeah.
So you're more comfortable with the numbers now than you were at the beginning. So you didn't have a finance person that was really working with you closely.
Well, that's something that like I expected like to get from using this consulting company, is that like they were gonna really like not just look at like, because they were like so focused on like how do we increase sales, we need a team, we need this, and there wasn't a lot of like how do we make sure like our margins are okay,
Right.
and that like, yeah, like can we afford to do this. I guess their mindset is more like possibility thinking, like this is the sales that we're going to have, and so this is what we need in order to produce that. And yeah,
But not a
and
focus on the bottom line.
no, no. And so yeah, there was a missing in that. There was also a missing in like when my partner left, like I think looking back, like I should have been on it right away to find someone new, like because he was like a fitness person and brought a lot to the studio. So yeah, like I never was able to find someone else, and I could have done a lot more to try. I could have hired a headhunter. Um, I didn't put like full effort into it because I didn't think that like I didn't realize at the time that it was so important to have that kind of person at a fitness studio.
Mm. Sort
Yeah.
of rounded out what you were trying to accomplish as a business, having that talent in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. Well, so as you look at what happened and what you're looking at going forward, I know you said you're not really interested in running a business, but I'm not sure if that's really what you were getting at in the future. I mean,
Um,
and it was part of what happened in the past. You were tired of running a business, I guess, is really what you're saying.
I think I just like I wouldn't want to be like a CEO again. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that is like a role that like necessarily like suits me the best. However, like I don't know if it was in a I don't know. Who knows? Like I'm not going to say like never, cuz you just never know, but I think if the business was in something that like I was like doing and was really good at, and then it just started to grow, and like I brought a few people on, then like I would I would do that again, but I wouldn't like take over this like big space, and I wouldn't just like open a business. I would like start something
Build.
and build it slow this
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I don't want to be, I don't know. At this point, I'm just like, I didn't really enjoy like being in charge of sales and marketing and responsible for employees and their performance. And there was just, I really lost touch of like my work and why I like doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't even doing it. I was just running this business, and it like
Right.
just took a lot of out of me. I wasn't like
So the
happy in the role.
coaching, yeah, the coaching part of it, working with people, is the piece you really like.
Hmm.
Individually, working one-on-one with people and that sort of thing. Yeah, that makes
Yeah, and
sense.
like creating programs and things like that. But at this point, I'm just like disconnected from it. Like I just
Hmm.
feel a bit burnt out, and I'm just like, is this really what I want to do? Because I know that like it's going to be another like process of like, okay, like how do I market my programs? Like how do I get clients? And so
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't know. Do I want to do that again? I don't know at this point. We'll
Hmm.
see. Maybe in a
Well, I mean,
small
it's
capacity.
fair. Yeah, it's fair to take some time. But when you start thinking about what you liked about it, what you enjoyed about it, there was something at the beginning that had you want to do it. And was it about other people? Was it for you? What was it that had you really interested in the first place?
Um, well, the idea got put in my head from my dad. Yeah, he was giving us like a bit of business investment money, and I didn't know at the time like what I wanted to do, and he kept being like, like when are you gonna start something? And then I started thinking about it more seriously, and yeah, like the way that I decided to do it wasn't a good way to decide to do something. It was kind
Mm-hmm.
of like I was actually like quite ill at the time, like with my health, and I had like just stopped doing something else because it wasn't working. And then I like took on this like huge project as like I wasn't in my best shape, and it was kind of like someone else's idea. And then I just like I did eventually like get into it, and like when I because I'm a creator, and so I do like creating things. But then like as soon as it was like launching and like running it and doing all that, like that's kind of when it sunk in that it was like, was this a good idea? I don't know.
Yeah,
And
almost
then
like you needed a partner to run the business while you did the other activities inside it.
yeah, and I think it's really important, like looking back, like to make my own choices and to make sure that like that I'm like in like good health and like mental space like before I start something. Otherwise, you're just kind of building on not so good of a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also what led me to, do all this work on myself. And I do feel like a lot stronger leaving the business than when I entered it. So,
That's a good thing. That's great. And it does say good things for the future too. You've got to clean up and decide what's next and move forward, but you'll do it. Again, you just learn so much through these experiences,
mhm.
and it can be really powerful because it can really put you on a more solid footing going forward. You know what it looks like then to not really understand the numbers. You know what it looks like to have to do the marketing. All these pieces that you've done, you know what that looks like now. And you can say, you know what, yes, I like that. No, I don't like this. Okay, then I've got to find somebody to do it. That's the toughest part for entrepreneurs is to understand what their skills are and
Mhm.
what's missing in them, because then you can go out and find that. And you might, if you want to do something with somebody else, or if you just want to do something on your own, you still need to find someone that you can hire even part-time or a few hours a week to do the pieces that aren't your particular skill set. There's a great book, simple book called The E-Myth that's been
Yeah, I've read
visited
it.
since. Yeah, I mean, it's just so
Yeah.
have and don't have
Oh,
so that you can
you're
actually
frozen.
embrace it. Oh, something with the internet. Is it back now? Hmm. Or is that back? Is it back now? I think something just happened with the internet for a minute there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I've read the email. It's very true.
Yeah. Looking back now,
Yeah, it's like
yeah, when you've had the real experience, the book speaks to you a little differently.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you seem to be, I mean, I haven't spent much time talking to you, but even since I first met you, you seem to have more energy and you seem to be more positive. And maybe it's because you finally made a decision to move on and then do what you want to do in the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was like the flip-flopping back and forth
Mm.
as to like if I should stop or keep going, or like what else do I need to do to like make this work. I think now it's just like accepting and just doing whatever I can to make it like the best process possible for everyone.
The exit, the exit, you mean? Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you've got lots of support on that end, so that should be all right because you've got your accountants and
Yeah,
lawyers, whatever. Yeah, and a broker. You said that you've got involved too.
yeah,
Yeah. So, business broker, real estate business broker, right?
business. Yeah,
Yeah. Good.
yeah.
Good. And then as far as the lease, have you got somebody helping you with that? Is your lawyer helping you with that? Wrapping up the lease or not
Uh,
yet?
Not yet. At this point, it's like we need to find someone
Sublet or take it over.
to take it over. Yeah. So
Yeah.
until we find that, we won't go there yet. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, the only thing to be clear about, like, are you really clear about what the obligations are? If you have somebody else come in, what it looks like if they sublet or if they take it over or what the landlord will let you do, that sort of thing from the lease.
yeah. So I'll need to get more clear on that. They're obviously gonna read the lease and
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
more your responsibility. I mean, sometimes, not often, but it does happen where there's personal guarantees on the lease and things like that, which just kind of sneak up on you. And then they have the right to approve subleases and things like that. So it's just understanding what your obligations are so that as you get into it, you make sure you protect yourself when you're negotiating with somebody.
yeah. I'm supposed to send my lease to my business broker so that he
Good.
can take a
Yeah.
look over it and make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That's great. Yeah, and so just taking that position in the introduction leaders program, the distinction on performance was made really clear, right? What performance is and what it isn't. It's either you do something, you don't do something, and failure is just a failure to perform. And as difficult as that is sometimes to take in when you're in the midst of it, it's really important to get back and focus on that, and just keep saying, yeah, okay, it was a business that it was a plan that didn't work. And I can see where the issues were, where the mistakes were, and I'm going to, make sure I understand them. I look at them and analyze them so that when I go forward and do the next piece, I'm more focused on what I want and I understand what I need help on. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I, I know it'll all be for the best. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just going to be a process of like, I have a hard time in general, like letting go of things. So I think, yeah, it's just going to be like, yeah, like just a process of like completing it
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like all that.
It's two pieces though, because letting go of it is something you can do like right now. You can just choose that, all right, I'm not doing this. You've already said that. And
Mhm.
I'm going to go through a process to get, out of it the best way that I can, which is great. Um, but you don't have to hang on to anything. There's nothing, like you said, you have a hard time letting go. And
Yeah, I think I get like emotionally connected, like to my clients and to the community and the space. Just, yeah, I spent a lot of time there and it's been like 3 years of like really hard work, and
Mhm.
yeah, more than that. That's like when we opened. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
There's definitely a sense of loss.
yeah. It definitely a sense of loss. It's and that's something I realized too is like I'm happy I've made this decision, but yeah, I'm like I am disappointed that it didn't work out,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Mhm.
you get people when it doesn't work the way you want it to, you're disappointed about it. And again, it's not you. It's just the decisions that were made didn't work. Okay, let's go on and figure it out. Your ability to bounce back from it is really what makes a difference in your ability to move forward. You know, so
Mhm.
making the decisions number one, accepting that yeah things were missing and you know what they were, but you can't change that now because it's too late. So you make the decision and you're going to move on, and you've got a process that you're going to unwind things, and then you can take a break and move forward.
Yeah.
That sounds like what you've got planned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to take like a few months off after all this and just like
Mhm.
yeah, like figure out my next step and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Think about it. Look at what was missing in the last one, what you really want to do, what excites you going forward. It might be something completely different, who knows? Or it might be something in the same realm, but taking some time to think about it so that it is something you really want will be pretty critical.
Yeah.
Maybe that's well, no, maybe not. I was going to say maybe that's your leadership um, exercise through the program is to look at what's next, but it might be a little early for that. Um,
Yeah. I think
but the
so.
unwinding is also something that you want to do well, and what parts of that you're looking at, and what impact can you have on it so that it works best, that type of thing. I'm
Mhm.
not suggesting that that's necessarily part of the being a leader program, but it is an exercise that you need to go through to look at what impact you want to have. You already know you want to have the lease taken care of. You want to sell off some assets. Is there any way to sell off assets to anybody other than the person that might be taking over the lease? Like once they've decided what they want to do, is there another way to sell assets and move things off?
Uh there's not that much. Like most of it was like the renovations of the space.
Mm,
Um
yeah.
and then we have some equipment, so it's like it's not very much. And because the business isn't in a good financial like position that the advice has been like it's not very sellable, so don't like expect much,
Mm-hmm.
which you know what at this point is I'm okay with that. It's just time
Yeah.
to like complete it. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you shut the business down, you stop the clock as far as more expenses in some areas, and the lease is the big one. If you can get that lease taken care of, then you really are,
Yeah,
whatever
that's the biggest thing.
you stop the losses, right, from accruing. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah. And I did give a personal guarantee with a extra deposit that if this happened that it wouldn't hurt my credit or me personally. It like just they would take the extra deposit and find a new tenant. So because we were a startup, we kind of set it up in a smart way that
Good
if we
for
need to
you.
if we need to walk away, we just walk away and yeah.
Good for you. No, that's really good.
Yeah.
Good. You must have got some good advice on that because that makes tons of sense.
Yeah, that was my dad's doing,
Yeah.
thankfully. Yeah.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is not a typical startup mentality. Everybody thinks they're going to succeed no matter what. And it doesn't always go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, you seem much more at peace, I think, right now. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think I'm at peace. I'm just like Yeah, I'm just kind of in one of those like places where I'm like, yeah, I just feel sad. And so
Mm.
like it's like hard being at the business, and then when I'm not there, I'm like trying to get used to like not being so busy, and I don't really feel like seeing friends. And so I'm kind of just like in a bit of a funk, I guess, but like yeah, I'm just going through the process. I think it's okay to, to give yourself time to go through it. And I am like going on vacation, so it's like good timing that I'm going to be out of the studio for like 3 weeks, um, starting on December 20th. So it's like good timing that I'll
Mhm.
like have something else to focus on and to not be there until the new year. And yeah.
And you got to keep looking too at what has you be sad, what has you be, missing being busy and things like that. Because if you've decided to move on, you've made a choice. You've made a choice to move on,
Mhm.
and you have to let the rest of it go. And so while you're on vacation, you've really got to look at that and just say, okay, got it. There's sadness around here someplace from the fact that this didn't work, and it's not who I am. It's just what's around you, and
Mhm.
you can be with that, but just don't let it become. It doesn't need to identify you. It's just there. People stub their toe in the morning and it wrecks their whole day, and it's crazy, but that's just what they choose to do. They choose to allow that to be their mood for the day. And you've made a really responsible, intelligent decision, and it's difficult to accept sometimes that it didn't work, and it didn't work. As you already know, that's just a failure to perform, nothing to be upset about or anything else. And start thinking about, won't it be great when you're done all of this and you can
Mhm.
just be and think about the future and look forward.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think that the continuing to look, as when you're on the calls with the program and talking to Kelly, and in the next piece in January, just looking at what's there for you and what's showing up for you around being a leader. Because here you are. I mean, you're right there, front and center as the leader of this organization in a situation where you've had to make a decision to close something down. Who you're being as the leader in that circumstance is
Mhm.
still important. You are still the leader, and people will still look up to you. And who are you going to be in that circumstance? That's the thing to look at. And
Yeah, definitely.
mhm.
Yeah.
You're the boss.
Yes, for a little
And
longer.
well, but it's true. You are the example. You can be the example for people. You can support them, as they move on and do other things, and
Mhm.
just do it powerfully from a position of leadership and responsibility. I think the whole, when you look at cause in the matter, and you're quite familiar with that from the Introduction Leaders program and from the work we're doing, and being cause in the matter of your life, being responsible for life, that's what you're up to right now. And sometimes it shows up as a kind of a messy thing to do. And at the same time, if you didn't do it, imagine like what would happen. You just sit there and let things slowly fail around you, and then nothing, and then all of a sudden, they'd shut the lights off one day and carry you out. I mean, that's not how you operate. You
Yeah.
actually operate as a leader, and you operate with cause and being responsible for your life. So that's really powerful.
Mhm.
You're there. You're already doing it. You just have to accept that that's what you're up to. It's a
Yeah.
change. Yeah, good.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like you're making the right decision. You've got some good help, and I know that Kelly is a great support. She's a great coach. I'm sure
Yeah.
she can support you going forward too. And if there's anything that's going on that you think about from a business perspective that you want to have a conversation about, I'm always available too. Even if you're looking at the future, um, I'm happy to have a conversation with you anytime inside the work that we're doing right now with this program. So We're all there
Okay.
to support you. Brian, Kelly, me, we just want
Yeah.
you to be successful. So we're there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Not a problem. All right, Jackie, like I said, reach out anytime. Enjoy your
Okay.
vacation.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good holiday. Bye.